Hello and welcome to the Strong Not Skinny podcast show. Clarity and mindset driven strategies to motivate, help you build discipline and consistency so you can make a physique transformation a reality for the big day and beyond. I'm Zoe Sim, a yoga teacher, former chef tutor at the School of Hot London and ex-Pure Gym instructor turned strength and physique coach. I'm getting married in July 2022 and I am dress fitting ready, and I'm here to help you zip up the dress without the stress. Let's get this show started. Hello and welcome to episode 7 of the Strong Not Skinny podcast. Today's topic is about how I discovered a strength that was disguised as a weakness that's got in the way of progress. I've got a bit of a sore throat because I have had a really good weekend. I have eaten some foods that I definitely don't usually eat. That's usually not on my meal plans, and so I feel like my throat is just a little bit sore from overindulging and also talking a lot because which you'll find out why I've been talking a lot. And anyway, so let's dive straight into today's topic. And I know that that companies and most industries now, they don't like to frame or use the word weaknesses and strengths, but I have no issue with using these two words because I am okay with the fact that I am not good at everything, and I do in fact have, lots of things that I am not good at, therefore making them a weakness, right? But let's cut the crap and admit that we all have things that we aren't very good at. And I don't mean to say this in a horrible way, but if we were good at everything and had strengths in everything, we wouldn't need help or we wouldn't need support with things. And so I want to talk about something that relates to my two siblings. So I have an older sister and I have a younger brother. And growing up, I believe that we didn't get along that well, but like typical siblings, and being an age that we are now, which we are all in our 30s, we have grown quite close. Obviously, like I said, I didn't think that we got along when we were younger. And probably due to different interests, and obviously we still don't like the same things, but I like to think that between us three we really respect each other now more than we have done in the past. And I have been thinking about why this is, and today's topic was even related to something that me and my sister even touched upon not too long ago. And so I believe that one of the reasons why I think we get along so well now is because we really respect each other, and it's also because we are very modest. I'm going to cough now. Excuse me. And because we are very modest, we are all I guess you could say successful in our own right, but we don't really brag about it. And for me, I find it very hard to accept compliments, and I used to brush away things that I have achieved and just think that they were like really not anything, right? And I believe that this stems from our parents. Actually, 100% this stems from our parents, I think. It's so interesting to understand how our parents' behaviors and their thought processes has impacted ours. And I say this because my parents are for sure one of the or two of the most modest people I know. They have worked so hard to earn a living, and not just a living, they were able to provide so much for us. And even though they, made us work from a young age, they bought us like new phones and cars, and, but they taught us the value of hard work, but I guess also modesty too. And you will rarely hear my mum brag about themselves. You'll rarely hear my mum brag about us. You know, my parents, they'll rarely say that they are proud of us, and would never probably dream of saying how successful they have been, even though my brother said, so my brother, he said something, he calculated that my sister, his and my salary combined, or income combined, it doesn't even equate to what they earn as a retired couple. So that's how successful they have been. I don't know if it just it shows how unsuccessful we have been, but there we are. And I remember something that my mum used to say to me, and it really annoyed me growing up, and that was saying, "Oh, you want praise, don't you? Oh, she wants a pat on the back," and you know, but like in a really irksome way, you know. And obviously, she didn't say it like in that phrase as well, because you know she said it in Hakka, and being Hakka, so I'm Hakka, and which means, you know, Hakka translated in English means a guest person. And so, you know, it's sometimes it's hard to translate things exactly what they are said in Hakka to English, but hopefully you get what I mean. And she used to be like, oh, she wants a bit of praise, and used to like sort of make fun. You know, she didn't do it in a nasty way. It wasn't nasty, but she clearly, you know, liked to make a joke of it. And I think, you know, for her, well, it felt like for me growing up that anytime I did something, you know, that was, I guess, out of the ordinary, or something that was quite, you know, impressive, I think she wanted some praise. She thought that I wanted some praise, or you know, or wanted, you know, a compliment, but I never wanted anything like that, especially the more that she made a joke out of it, or she made a point of it. You know, and obviously giving praise, like, and if you come from a Chinese background, like your parents giving praise to you is not something that usually comes like easily. They rarely do that. Well, anyways, for my family anyways. And so, you know, and I guess it's something that they find hard to do themselves, because they never obviously got praise or anything like that. You know, that's just not something that's done in sort of, I guess, the Chinese Hakka or Cantonese background. And I can't even remember the type of things that I did back then that would cause her, you know, or give her reason to say those kind of things. But I remember this feeling of frustration and annoyance, because I never wanted praise. I never wanted them to say well done. And I guess even now, like, I don't think I need them to say it. I know that they are proud of me, but they obviously just don't say it. But I used to find it really uncomfortable, and sometimes I guess I still do now. Whenever I receive praise or compliment, sometimes I can get into this like this zone of like just brushing it off. And so I do, or I have found it uncomfortable, you know, in the past, to accept praise and compliments. And, you know, I guess I was taught not to accept the compliments, but to be as modest as possible. And in doing so means, you know, brushing past those compliments and gestures of praise, you know, and that also means like I tend not to like talking about things that I have achieved, which you guys are like, no, that's not you, but that was very much like me before, you know. And, you know, however, I guess I have realized that being too modest and always brushing off compliments and never really feeling, you know, I've never really had that feeling of wanting to celebrate any sort of big achievements. And I believe that that's definitely held me back from doing things. And so what I thought was a strength, right, which is being modest, was in fact a weakness. And so this, now that I recognize that it is a weakness, I'm trying to now turn this back into a strength. And so, you know, I have, and so an example of this, right, is that I had an amazing weekend, just this weekend just gone. And I don't know when you're going to be listening to this, but it is currently, what day is it today? It is Monday, the 28th of June, 2021. And so the weekend just gone, I had two friends of mine came up to visit me who I hadn't seen for a long time due to COVID. And they came up because I asked them if they wanted to come along with me to try on wedding dresses. And so I had two maid of honours and a bridesmaid with me for this occasion, and I had 5 appointments in total, 5 different bridal shops booked. Oh wait, no, this weekend it was 4, but I had one couple of weekends ago. Anyways, I had gone to one with my mum, my sister, and my sister-in-law, which was the first appointment. And then I went to 2 on Friday, then 2 on Saturday. And I have definitely had enough of trying on wedding dresses. I am wedding dress shopped out. Okay, it was actually a lot more tiring than I realized, which is such a first world problem. So each bridal shop was different. I'm just going to go off topic here, by the way. But I'd recommend that you go to like 3 or 5 bridal shops at least, because all of them were so different. Like there were different designers, different price ranges, and they all gave us a different experience. And so definitely worth going to a few if you're just planning rather than just looking online and then trying to find a stockist, right? Definitely just make the most of it if you can. So anyways, I went in into the bridal shops with an open mind. I didn't have a clue of what kind of dress I wanted, so I decided to try so many on. But the first bridal shop I went to gave me a kind of it gave me an idea of what style dress that suited me. And so the rest of the boutiques that I visited, I mainly tried on those style dresses, but still very open to trying on others that I hadn't done before. Anyways, after I guess trying on some dresses, or my sister-in-law said to me, "Oh gosh, your butt looks so good," or looks so good. And afterwards she said to me, like, she wasn't sure if she was supposed to say that. And I said, 100% yes. Like, she definitely should have said it. And I'm glad she did, because, I worked so bloody hard for my butt. And, even on Friday and Saturday, my friends were giving me compliments, especially on my butt, and I got so many compliments for my figure from the boutique owners. They all said I looked so good in the dresses, and I definitely know they weren't just saying it because they had to, although they probably do that sometimes, which I'm not trying to be mean about, by the way. And so, and if I am honest, a few years ago, if that scenario happened, I would probably have cringed and be like, "Oh yeah, I guess I look nice," and I just didn't cringe when they gave me these compliments. I just took ownership of it, because I guess, because it was true. I do have a physique that I'm proud of now, and I worked hard for it, but my intention is obviously not to come off as braggy, but I do want to say that, in the past, I would have never accepted those kind of compliments, even if I looked amazing, because it was always uncomfortable to receive praise and compliments, and obviously being taught to always be really modest. And but now I totally own it. I said to them, "Yeah, I do look good. I look great in all these dresses." And I'm like, "Yeah, my bum looks so hot, in all of them." And so, I felt very confident and very beautiful. And of course, I'm not saying this to make any brides feel bad who don't feel like the same way about their physique. But the point I want to make is that, I have managed to overcome this sort of barrier, this weakness, which I thought was actually a strength, because, now I am, I will happily, and I do openly say, yeah, I do look great, and I am proud of that, rather than sort of shying away and sort of brushing it off like it's nothing. I know that, as women, we are far too modest. Like, we do not brag enough about our achievements and accomplishments. accomplishments, and this stops us from thinking that we are worthy, from believing that we can achieve things out of the ordinary, and it can really get in the way of, I guess, like feeling guilty for not putting ourselves first to achieve our dreams, and believing that we can, And so one of the things that, talking about, since I'm talking about strength and weakness, is, the reason why men, statistically men, why they've been more successful, I guess, in getting jobs. I know that was in the past. I don't know the statistics now and whether that's the case now. But, during interviews, they are not afraid to be openly proud about their achievements. In fact, they just like, they'll own it and they'll say it and they'll brag about it, about what they've achieved. And it just comes off as confidence, obviously sometimes it does come across as arrogance as well. But, confidence is such an important thing in how we present ourselves and the things that we believe that we are capable of doing. I know that being a woman, as well as coming from a background where my parents have taught, me, my brother and my sister to be modest, and, and having never received any praise, I know that has negatively impacted my approach to things. When I opened my takeaway business, I didn't tell anyone that was really my plan. I just went ahead and did it. Well, obviously I did tell a few people, but not like openly spread the word, like announce it on like Facebook or anything like that, and go crazy with like being super proud of it and things, and sort of bragging. It was only when I had opened the business and it was running well that I then decided to sort of invite some friends and family to come and visit the shop. And so it wasn't even a celebration. It was just like them inviting them along to enjoy what I was now doing. And so I hated the idea of having a celebration of success when there was nothing successful, when nothing successful has happened. And that's something that I know that sort of gets in the way of me making progress, I guess. And, looking back at that time, I never really felt proud of myself when I had my takeaway business. I was just doing something that I felt like needed to be done. I also felt like I had something to prove. I had to prove something to myself. I had to prove something to my parents. And I never really at that moment acknowledged what I had accomplished. It never really occurred to me to be proud, because I just thought, my thought process was like, well, what have I done really? What have I done really? And sometimes I still do this, and I find it hard to accept what I have accomplished, but I have made great strides in recognizing that what I thought was a strength, my modesty, I thought being modest was a really, really good thing. It's one of my strengths, was actually in fact a weakness. So now I make sure my modesty just does not hold me back. Talking about this on a podcast, and even having a podcast, where I share my thoughts, my stories, my feelings, is not something that, I have ever imagined doing. I did not, never. Because, I would have thought it would be narcissistic. It'd probably be arrogant talking about myself. And so the old modest me would never have thought it possible to have my own podcast, or to even want to do one, because it was just so narcissistic. The old modest me would never talk about me so openly. And so I want to ask you, maybe is this something that could be holding you back? Is your modesty holding you back? And if it's not modesty, is it something else? Because I believe that, sometimes our strengths are masked and disguised as a strength, when in fact that they're a weakness, this, for example, like an example of this is the fact that, we do have this, as women, we have a biological setting to care, love and nurture for others. And sometimes that can really get in the way of holding us back from achieving the things that we want in life, and if you aren't like caring, let's say if you aren't caring, loving or nurturing at any given time, do you feel guilty? Do you feel guilty of that? And if so, sometimes that guilt can get in the way, right, of you wanting to pursue something. like if you're caring and if you have a caring and loving nature, does it make you feel guilty when you prioritize some time for yourself or prioritize some time for you to exercise rather than, I don't know, play with your kids, for example? Do you feel bad if you do this? And so, one of the things, I had to not feel guilty about was actually asking Alan to make his own lunches, which I know just sounds so like, it sounds so silly, because we have, as one half of a relationship, we have, got our, I guess you could say, we've got our set roles, and me, I was always the ones making the meals and makes our lunches, and he's the washer upper, right? But then and it was hard asking him to make his own lunches, because I'm not the one who brings in the most income, and in fact last year it didn't bring in any income because of COVID, and being self-employed as a yoga instructor and a chef tutor. I didn't have I was doing all of these jobs prior to COVID that I wasn't able to do, so I wasn't bringing in any income, and so then me asking him, can you make your own lunch meals and sort of do more house chores, made me feel really guilty, because I knew that I actually had to, this was the time that I needed to dedicate more to my health, to my pursuing my physique goals, and sort of starting an online business, and so that was something I had to really overcome and not feel guilty about, because my nature, or one of the things that I guess you could say a strength of mine, is always wanting to care and to provide, and I do love to cook and to make meals and stuff, but it's like, at the same time, if you've suddenly been doing you've been the one that's been doing all the cooking and things like that, and all the chores, and then not bringing in the income, and then suddenly asking your partner to actually just ease some of those, so that you can just take this time to do something for yourself. It was hard. It was really, it is such a first world problem, but that's the world that we live in, right? And so, don't be afraid to sometimes put yourself first, especially if you have been putting your partner, your kids, your career expectations, if you've been caring for others, before you, and you've been doing it for a long time, then maybe this is the time for yourself. Your kindness, your modesty, your generosity can in fact be a weakness. So don't let yourself get in the way of pursuing the things that you want in life. If you want to feel comfortable and confident in a wedding dress, in a bikini, in shorts, whatever it is, you must be ruthlessly honest with yourself about what it will take. If, for example, you are using all of your time to care for others, which is a wonderful thing, obviously, you have to understand, where does that leave you? Who takes care of you? What energy is there left for you to do the stuff that needs to be done for your personal goals? I talked about energy in the last episode, and I'm finishing with it again on this one, because so much of what we want in life is dependent on our energy balance. What we give and what we receive. And, if our energy balance is always, out of balance, you'll find yourself hitting that, that fuck it button, excuse the language, and consistently, you'll find yourself consistently putting things off and procrastinating. You'll say things like, you'll tell yourself, yeah, I'll just start exercising on Monday. Oh, I'll start this new diet on Tuesday, or whatever it is, and then 5 Mondays later, you just haven't started. And so, when really, you really want to be consistently doing things that are helpful towards your goals, whether they are for your physique goals or for your other personal goals. And, for me, I now know that it's not always helpful to be modest all the time, and if I lose all of my modesty, I'll probably just come across as an absolute arrogant bitch. And I definitely don't want to be like that. So remember, nothing of value comes easy, and it takes some time to reflect on whether some of your strengths are in fact weaknesses that are stopping you from pursuing your personal goals. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this show, please leave a review so that other brides and wives can get motivated and stay motivated to make a physique transformation a reality for the big day and beyond. I would be so grateful if you could take this action for me. Subscribing to the show will get you notified each time a show gets released, so you never miss a thing. My name is Zoe Swip, and you can reach me at @thepumpedyogi on Instagram, or join my Facebook group where you can join my live weekly coaching sessions and ask questions in real time.